All right, so I just discussed Neath. My heart kind of weighs heavy because I wish that women did the right thing. I wish they were willing to die. I've gone over the risks and benefits, and believe me, when you truly analyze this thing extensively, this is part of why there's wordplay. A woman is a fool. She lacks judgment. She lacks understanding. She lacks spiritual depth. She lacks life and love, really, if she does not follow Pharaoh. There's no way around that, and I'll go over that in another video. Okay, in this video, we'll talk about Molok, who's also Molek, Milcom, or Malcolm. And this is not a coincidence. Malcolm X. Malcolm X was touching on ideas, yes, but he's more likely a puppet of men, a puppet of Hades and Pluto and Set to kind of set the record crooked, if you will. The name Molok results from, and of course Malcolm X, right? The X, the Chiro, the Chi, the worldly energy, which Osiris embraced in order to democratize the pharaoh's power, because people are void of spirit without the true spirit of Ra through Haru, the adult male, the true version of masculinity, the true symbol of the pinnacle of masculinity, which also created problems over the years as people who were not in the same martial arts culture sought to exert themselves, exert power and influence, and to be idolized, idol, right? An idol, the idol versus the true spirit of the shining sun, symbolically and otherwise. So the name Molok results from a dysphemic vocalization. In the second temple period of the theonym based on the root MLK, King. Again, Martin Luther King, MLK, it's not a coincidence. We have Malcolm X and MLK leading the black community. We have the Black Panthers, right? The black, which is covering the light, the bowl that covers the light. Okay, and and of course they get taken out even in their black form. They say, even in your black form, we reject that idea. Okay, and they make MLK and Malcolm X martyrs, whereas the Black Panthers aren't as effectively made martyrs. They're kind of side ideas. Their importance is greatly reduced if you look into history. And again, they also were a divided group who didn't have one kind of universal doctrine, ideology, philosophy, etc. So they were divided in darkness, and they couldn't stand. So in many ways, they were society's right to not give them some kind of respectable holiday or something to that effect. Anyway, a number of Canaanite gods with names based on this root, including biblical Malcolm, right, male come, great king, which appears to refer to the god of the Ammonites, as well as Tyrian Milcart and others. Rabbinical tradition depicted Molok as a bronze, remember Bronze Age, which starts to bring down the martial arts order, or what's left of it, a bronze statue heated with fire into which the victims were thrown. So again, Bronze Age armor, right? Helmet, right? Hel-E, right? Helmet. Hel is the deity of Greco-Roman mythology as a place, right? Helmet. And armor, the arm, right? Putting an emphasis on strength and not on the spirit, which has to do with the martial arts sparring, right? Spirit. Okay. Heated with fire into which the victims were thrown. Hannibal, right? With the word ball in it. Carthage. North African child sacrifices. Excavations in Carthage reveal evidence with the inscription MLK. Okay, so people used to literally sacrifice their children to this idea. It's symbolic of saying, no matter how you feel about this, you are going to sacrifice your children, like military personnel dying in unfair wars like Iraq and Vietnam, with the Phoenix program where you're raped and abused. There's all these rapes, and being in the military really is an idea of dishonor. Okay, and they say honor your country. It's like your country's reputation. It's not truly honoring the truest principles of morality. You'd be out of your mind to say that. When they say support your troops, you may as well give them roofies and condoms, because the type of support you're giving them is to do something wrong and to support these kind of the rapist cultural norms and social norms that are set by utter garbage to make it so women reproduce in a very despicable and unfavorable to really humanity's truest aspirations and to the true direction of humanity kind of way. Okay, so when we look at Hinan, all right, and there's a lot of wordplay there. Son of Hinnon, no, man, eye, main eye. A place of sacrifice in the valley of Hinnom, Gehenna, which later acquired the connotation hell. Okay, so we look at California with the Bohemian Grove. The owl is a symbol of Athena, and they're said to be an owl statue is a symbol of Molok. Now, Molok can be symbolized as a bull, a dog, and certainly, and I don't see why not an owl, because it's a symbol of pagan, worldliness usurping the true martial arts order. I mean, Carthage is even in North Africa, and Hannibal, right? And of course, you have the story of him riding elephants through the mountain range. This is symbolic because it's elephants and not hawks. The mountain is associated with the hawk. Okay, so 2 Kings 23:10, Josiah defiles Molech to obey the Lord. So you have the difference between the kingdom of Judah and the Israelites. Molech and Malcolm can be seen as the god of the Ammonites. You have Amen, right? Amen-Ra, Jupiter, Amen, the Capitoline triad. Okay, the old and the new. And we have Molech is worshipped by the Israelites. And also there's references to Ahab. And of course that goes back to Moby Dick and so on. There's a lot of parallels we can draw there. So, the Tyrian colony of Carthage, right? Tyr-I-N, Tuesday, Tears Day, martyr, right? A martyr defined by the West. Anything else is unacceptable to the West, and they see it as terrorism. And of course, they're terrorizing people. Police terrorize people. That's how they get people to comply, and so on and so forth. There's terror is a very much a part of Western culture in various forms, and leave it to a martial artist to pick up on that right away, and the people who aren't martial artists to not pick up on that. And if you don't pick up on these key things, should you have the right to vote? No. If you're not educated properly by naturally being bred in the right direction, no. You're basically a hellspawn that refuses to transform and to find the heart to do the right thing, right? Be be brave. You don't do it, you shouldn't have a say. I mean, we take away criminals' rights to vote, and their rights to bear arms and so on and so forth, and the right to even drink alcohol. Okay, so when you're all acting like criminals who haven't been punished, how can you then turn around in the same system, using the same scale? Basically, you're saying because criminals make the law, the principles don't apply to you. They only can be applied through the law, which is backwards, which is the wall. Absolute garbage. H is the fence, the hell. The fence in the cattle. So the urns. Basically, they had 7 chambers in the bronze statues. Trumpets were played to drown out the noise, to keep the sound of weeping mothers from the ears of people, so they could maintain the trance, which is also why they're keeping people from hearing my videos, so they can maintain the psychological construct, keep women in this kind of drug-induced, kind of psychology-induced trance, so they can take advantage of them. Again, of course, women are contributing to it. On some level, everyone knows that being socially normative in America and pretty much anywhere on this planet is wrong. Okay, not to transcend is wrong. To contribute to a culture that drugs, hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people, really hundreds of millions of people. But depending on how you define drugs and mind-altering substances, certainly the more correct way to view it is pretty much everybody is drugged. And there are 620,000 rapes every year, some 2,000 or so a day, and people are not, people are not accounting the coerced sex and people being taken advantage of. I mean, just to contribute to this thing is appalling and is disturbing. Of course, child sacrifice has implications and is symbolic of and it directly connects to reproduction and reproductive cycles. Either the scum that want people to abort their children, okay, and so on. And of course, the process of abortion is very inhumane. It's very barbaric. It's very savage. And people, they have Planned Parenthood convincing you to do it, downplaying the despicable and detestable process in which it is done. Not to mention it is wrong in the first place. And why are people feeling the need to abort in the first place if the reproductive norms are not are sound? Why do you feel the need to abort your child? Why are you having sex with somebody that you don't want to have a child with? It's shallow. It's stupid. It's unnatural. It's despicable. It goes back to the difference between an honorable culture, an honorable reproductive cycle, honoring the woman that you're sleeping with, and Neith as a whore versus Neith as somebody who's honored by the Pharaoh who has no problem having children with her. You know, he wants her to have children. It's a blessing. Where when Neith becomes a slut, who doesn't even respect herself, her own body, and the flesh of her flesh. You know, she doesn't respect her own child and aborts it. You know, of course, this is in this kind of society, love does not exist. This is accepted by society. And on the right, you know, they have their own despicable reproductive process of racial supremacy and so on and so forth. All right. There's urns, right? Urns. The word urns is a play on words, containing a mixture of animal and human bones. Okay? Molk or milk, a term for a fire sacrifice. Okay, again, milking the children, breastfeeding and giving your child milk becomes a form of sacrificing your child, seek raw face, right? Sacrifice your child for the devil. Okay, you're sacrificing the spirit of your child having sex with a scumbag. You're sacrificing your child, his spiritual health by doing it Molok's way, bull, the worldly way. Right? Look at Gaia. Gaia convinced Mother Earth, the Mother Goddess, the Gorgon hat worn by the headpiece worn by Athena, and Zeus said to scare people into submission. Okay, people staring at you hard, saying, hey, what are you doing here? And we see it in movies, we see it in real life, we see it with gang members, we see it with cops, we see it with rednecks, and so on. It goes back to the Gorgon, Medusa's face, to turn to stone, to keep you from taking action and doing the right thing. Okay, so Molok basically, creates baby killing horrors. Okay, the temple of Solomon. There's connections there. Adulation, right? Adulation for Molok. A doll, a shun, right? And the car is said to be the modern Molok, just like they made connections between abortion and child sacrifice with the anti-abortion movement in the 19th century. The Sleepy Hollow cartoon, Molok was the one who raised the four horsemen in an attempt to start the apocalypse. It goes back to Pan, backwards, which is nap, and to be asleep. Okay, and it goes back to, levels of consciousness, drug-induced states. So we can go on and on about the connections with Molok. I know it might have gotten a little confusing. Just do your research yourself. Keep in mind the ideas I'm referring to. You'll be like, oh, I remember when he said that. Oh, that's what he meant, if for nothing else. Okay, so Neith is basically a whore that's sold out to Molok, to the bull that never grew up. The snake is really like the penis of the bull. Apep is the penis of the bull. If the man doesn't choose his higher self in the divine order, basically he's thinking with his dick, right? And he's not thinking with the spirit, right? The penis is meant to convey, in one form of conveying it, in an honorable way, obviously, because if you don't do something that is truly honorable, truly morally sound, the spirit leaves you, okay? You can't be killing, you can't have ill-gotten gains and be outside the divine order and to convey the spirit of the Lord. So basically, Molok is a piece of shit. Western culture is nonsense garbage, right? It's a few random trailer trash bitches meeting at the Bohemian Grove versus super rich scum who have all kinds of, people serving them and protecting them, the law enforcement protecting them. These are the trendsetters, the culture setters. Yes, if you think of things in terms of the elite are the only ones paying homage to the devil, you're an idiot. That is the culture. This is Babylon's system. It is the vampire. This is how it works. Listen to Bob Marley songs that are even accepted by people who are part of Babylon's system. Here they are listening to songs that say Babylon's system is wrong. It's the vampire. And they're dressing up like vampires. And they're in the spirit of this world. The Luciferian energy of this world. Okay, Bob Marley is talking about illusion, confusion in the song Concrete Jungle. Concrete, right? Crete, the Minos, homosexuality, and the Labyrinth, okay, the movie The Labyrinth, and so on, Daedalus, and Pacify, and Ariadne, and Theseus, and even the hero, who Theseus is the hero, the founding hero of Athens, and that's where you get Athena, and I'll put it on the screen. Athena in this one pagan group on Facebook was chosen their number one deity, okay, by the it was voted she was voted number one basically, and basically it is marshalling using cunning and so on and so forth, and people basically have contributed to the illusion and the confusion, and they don't have the heart to stand with a righteous man. I mean, I'm a greater man than Bob Marley was. You would think people who understand his message would then see that in people like me and date them instead of contributing to Babylon's system. It's a no-brainer. every culture is hypocritical unless it's purely evil, then